I am Jeff Biggs, and I am ready for some good old-fashioned tampering. Let the spending begin.
I am Marcus Mosher, and I'm still recovering from the combine, and I didn't even run a 40-yard dash.
Make sure you give Jerry a pen that can write. It's Glenn Stretch Smith. He's going to need to write some big numbers.
How about them Cowboys? It's the Cowboys Squad. Everything Dallas Cowboys every week. Covering all the big hits and game-changing plays from America's team, the way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. Get ready and squad up. It's the Cowboys Squad Show, starting now.
Yes, March has arrived, and so has some of the madness, and that includes another edition of the Cowboys Squad Show. Great to be with you on this Monday night. We are brought to you tonight once again by FanDuel. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel because you can use your profit boost on an NBA future and get entered for your chance to win a trip to the NBA Finals. Play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, we got a lot to get to tonight. We start with a welcome to the co-host of the daily Locked On Cowboys podcast. That would be Marcus Mosher. Marcus, good to see you, buddy. Landon will be back with us on Thursday. Aisha Morrison will be back with us next week. And Coach, we've got former Cowboys coach Glenn Stretch Smith. All right, so we got the very latest on the Cowboys. George Pickens has officially been tagged. The combine is over, as Marcus mentioned. And we also learned of a surprise surgery today for Donovan Ezeraku. We'll get into that as well. But I think the big takeaway, at least for me, guys, over the weekend, Jerry Jones holding court on his bus in Indy, saying he is ready to bust the budget for spending in free agency. Marcus, what are your thoughts on that? And I guess realistically, what kind of spending should we expect?
First of all, it must be pretty nice to just sit on the bus and let the media come towards you. I mean, I want to get to that point where you don't even have to leave the comfort of your double-decker bus, right? The other part of this, I think the Cowboys are going to spend more in free agency than we've seen in the last couple of years. But that's not really saying a ton, Jeff. Like last year, Dante Fowler was their biggest signing over the last decade, and he got like a 1-year, $6 million contract. So my fear here is a little bit that when it comes to spending in free agency, the Cowboys maybe don't remember how to do it, right? And a lot of times you're going to have to pay 120% of what you think you need to pay. It's like going into an auction. You've got so much money, and all of a sudden the prices are way higher than you expected. We'll see if the Cowboys are ready to swim in these waters.
Yeah, I think you've already seen that they're prepping for what is going to be an ability to get to a big number with the right guy. Now, my whole thing is more about the right guy. I'm a little gun shy from the last coordinators, whether that was Marinelli and wanting to bring in Tristan Hill and draft him so early, whether that was Eberflus and wanted to bring in a linebacker who was not very good. I'm more concerned about who it is. And the thing that I don't want is just because there's familiarity with Dean or Blankenship, I don't want those guys to go to the front of the line. I want them to do a true evaluation. Is Levante David healthy enough to give you some what you want at linebacker? Would he be better than Lloyd? I mean, I want him to get it right more than I'm concerned about Jerry writing the check.
And I'm with you, Stretch. Unfortunately, that's a lot of free agency is who who you've played under before. That's how these guys sign deals. And there's certain agencies that work really well with teams, and there's college ties that go back here. So I'm 100% with you. We've already heard a couple of names: Nakobe Dean, Reed Blankenship, PJ Locke. All these guys have connections to Christian Parker. That doesn't mean they're bad fits, but it can't just be guys that you're friends with, right? Or you've coached under before. That part of it, I am a little bit nervous about as well.
Yeah, I don't want to overpay a guy just because he's got the password to the honeycomb hideout. If we're going to overpay a guy, let's overpay the guy that's evaluated in the correct way.
Well, and don't you think that happened a little bit even last year? I mean, they traded for Quinnen Williams, and I think a lot of it was because, Aaron Whitecotton is a guy that coached him before. They signed Solomon Thomas, who played under Aaron Whitecotton. They hired Matt Eberflus because that was somebody that they knew. That's kind of the business of the NFL. I just hope you aren't putting lesser players above better ones because you know that.
And we're saying the same thing. I mean, I'm not – do I think that Whitecotton had more cachet or more to say about whether they traded for Williams or not? He might have when it came to Solomon Thomas. I'm not sure about Quinnen Williams. So we'll see where that goes. But the point I'm making is always before, when guys first get in the building, they get the bullhorn. Now, if you get the bullhorn, you need to be right in what you're saying in the bullhorn. Don't get the bullhorn and just get to be in a damn carnival barker.
Well, Stretch, what I'm really interested in is which positions do they attack? Because I actually believe what they do in free agency will likely tell us what they're going to do in the draft. Like if they go hard and heavy after cornerbacks, probably a good sign that they're not going to spend a first-round pick on a corner. Like if they sign Alontae Taylor and another guy, I'm just throwing out names, we probably won't see them use the first, pick number 12 on Mansour Delane from LSU. Or if they go really hard at linebacker and they bring in Kobe Dean and somebody else, maybe even a guy like Sonny Styles wouldn't be an option, or CJ Allen at 20. I think in the next week, again, because legal tampering starts next Monday, I think we'll have a pretty good idea what the Cowboys are trying to accomplish in free agency and in the draft.
Yeah, so I haven't done enough homework right now, and I probably am speaking a little bit early here. We got a lot of shows till all this happens, but I mean, where is the draft deepest at? Is it deepest at safety? Is it deepest at linebacker? Where is it deepest at corner?
No, the first two, linebacker and safety. Those are probably the two deepest spots in the entire draft. I think corner is one of the spots that dries up really quickly. I just don't think even after pick 20, you're going to be getting guys that you feel great about. Linebacker goes all the way into day 3. You can find starting caliber linebackers on day 3, but what you're not going to find are these guys up front, these edge rushers outside of round 1 that you feel awesome about. So if you want to get an impact pass rusher, and we'll talk about Donovan Ezraku later, but if you want a guy that can come in and give you some, quality play, you're going to have to draft that guy early, or you're going to need to attack free agency pretty heavy there.
Yeah, I think when you look at where you're at here, I mean, I don't prioritize. I don't think number one need is edge rusher right now. That's just not. I don't believe that. Not in what I think can happen here. That doesn't mean that it may not enter in at 20, but I don't believe at 12 edge rusher is a direction you're going to go.
Do you think with Jerry Jones talking about, one of the things I thought was fascinating is that he said he doesn't want any more project players. And what I think he means by that, and Coach, I mean, you speak Jerry better than anybody else I know. What I think he means by that is he doesn't want these guys that are banged up, that are going to need time to get healthy, and that need a year before they're ready to play. I think he's feeling like they need guys that can play right now. And I do wonder how that changes their draft strategy.
I mean, again, Jerry is a Zig Ziglar sales guy. And so Jerry, the number one thing he's going to say is, I got 2 picks in the top 20. Don't give me – I got a chance here to draft and go get myself a Ferrari. Don't give me a damn Toyota Camry. It's not what I want. And that's in a sense, that's what he's saying is if you go back and you think about where the Cowboys have been just since he's owned the football team, and you go back and think about, and I don't want to say this like I'm dinging guys, but you go back and think about Kavika Pittman, Ebenezer Ekebon, and guys that they were taking flyers on because they felt like they had what it took to be an edge guy. And what he's telling you is, don't bring me none of them. That's what he's saying. Jerry has a memory like an elephant. Don't bring me any of those guys. That's how I take what he's saying. I don't want a. Well, and I feel the same way about Ezraku. I mean, I think Donovan Ezraku. Where did they take him?
It was like 45 or 47.
Yeah, end of the second, mid of the
top
second,
top of the second. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he is a project guy. Don't give me another one of them. With these first 2 picks, I don't want one of those. But we've got one, and it doesn't mean he's bad. It means that it's going to take him, I believe, another year before he really can blossom into being something. And so what he's saying is, I want a guy right now that is in position to go make this defense better.
And I find that fascinating because some of the edge rushers in this draft are guys that aren't the traitsy type. Like Reuben Bain from Miami came in at 30 and 7/8 inch arms, which would be the lowest ever for a defensive end drafted inside the top 150 picks. So you're taking an all-time outlier in terms of traits. He didn't run the 40 because he's not going to run very fast. He's 6'2". He is a short-armed defensive end, but he can get to the quarterback. And I think maybe that's more what they're going to be open to now rather than taking a guy like Keldrick Falk from Auburn, who's 6'6", 275, and got really long arms but no production. I think they want the guys that can come out and play right now.
You think Bain is a true first-round draft pick?
Absolutely. I've got him as my third best player in this class.
Wow. Third best player in the whole class?
Whole class.
Say it again?
Yeah, whole class. A third best player in this class, yes.
Wow.
A top 5 pick is what you're saying.
Yes, a top 5 pick, first-round pick, whatever you want to say. Yes, he's an elite player. You don't see that on tape?
I mean, I'm telling you, is Love the running back at Notre Dame? Is he a top 5 guy to you?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Well, how many he got in the top 5? About 15?
Oh, I got 5.
Well, all right.
I got Arvell Reese, Sonny Styles, Reuben Bain, Fernando Mendoza, and Jeremiah Love. That's 5. I can count.
I like it.
I mean, I see you over there working an abacus off the right off the right of that screen.
Working on it.
So let me ask this. There was somebody was talking. I read somewhere somebody was talking about not necessarily following traits. So what do they mean by that? What break that down for us?
You want to do it, Coach? You want me to do it?
Following I'm not sure I understand the question.
Like they were guilty in the past of just following too much on traits. Okay.
I got one. Like an example for last year, Savon Ravel. Savon Ravel is a 6'2" long arm cornerback who runs in the low 4.4s. But he got injured and he didn't have a lot of experience and he was playing at East Carolina. That is a traits pick. You are betting on your coaching staff being able to develop him because he's got all of these tools rather than somebody like, let's use an example from 2017, Jordan Lewis, who is a 5'9.5" corner with shorter arms. He runs a 4.5, but Jordan Lewis could play right out of the gate, right? He played at Michigan. He was born to play in the NFL. Lewis was an awesome player. He was over 10 years in the NFL already. We'll see about Ravel. We'll see how long it takes. I think another example, Jeff, would be like Nahshon Wright. You drafted Nahshon Wright in the 3rd round. He was here for 3 years, did almost nothing, right? He moves on to another team in Minnesota, does nothing. And then finally in year 5, he does something with the Bears, but now he's a free agent again. And you don't get it. The Cowboys got no benefit of that pick. I don't see the Cowboys being that aggressive taking traits this year.
Good answer.
I'm just from the school that, again, whoever you pick with these top 20 guys, whoever they are, I don't care. I don't care position. They are a day one starter, and they better be, because if they're not, then it's a bust pick. That's how I look at that. I'm not looking for any projects. I'm not betting on the come. I don't want a guy that, boy, he's got all this stuff, but boy, now let me tell you, every once in no, I'm out on that. And that's why I do think that when you start talking about guys that get dinged for certain characteristics, does that move that individual out of your top 20 and or out of your top 15, or for that matter, out of the top first round? I mean, how much that would be my take on this, is how much emphasis are you going to put on measurables? How much are you truly going to put on measurables? And I think we see it happen all the time. Yeah. I mean, we saw it happen with Ross, the receiver.
John Ross. Yep.
Yeah, he could run a hole in the wind, but he didn't know how to run a route. Or as Jason Garrett's dad would say, a route. So if you don't know how to do that, and you can't maneuver your body, you can't throw your outside hip and run out of speed cuts, you can't get yourself into the dig window, you can't understand that once you escape from press coverage and he's outside leveraging you and you have to go inside, and you don't understand the concept of getting back on top of him or tracking the football in the correct way. Those are all things that you put too much emphasis on the measurable side of things. And like you're talking about, I mean, there will be people, I will promise you, that will ding Bain and will ding Cassius Howell. That'll be the first thing they say. The first time they get locked up on in camp, well, they're them 30-inch arms. There's that 6'5" tackle locking on them 30-inch arms and steering him like just steering him like a go-kart.
Yep, it's going to happen.
All right. Well, we'll leave that there for now, but lots to get to. And I know Marcus, you and Landon have been all over the draft already, which is great. It's a beautiful thing. All right. When we come back, George Pickens has been tagged. It's official. Where do things stand with that? We got to talk about Donovan Ezeraku as well. And what clarity do we have now that the combine is in the books? We'll do that coming up. This is the Cowboys Squad Show. All right, well, college basketball is nonstop. Big games, tight spreads, momentum swings every single night, from early tip-offs to late-night West Coast shootouts. There is always action on the board. And now FanDuel is giving you a way to turn that energy into even bigger potential wins with a college basketball parlay profit boost. That's right. You can build any college hoops parlay you want, rivalry games, ranked matchups, whatever fits, whatever you need. You can mix spreads, totals, and player props to match how you see the slate playing out. Then you can apply the profit boost and instantly bump up your potential payout. So look at the odds around your team and go safe, go bold, ride with the team that you have been following all season. It's your parlay, your style, and now with more upside behind it. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com. FanDuel, play your game. We are back, the Cowboys Squad Show on this Monday night, first Monday of March. All right, We got the news over the weekend, guys. George Pickens was officially tagged. We knew that was coming. So, where do we stand on that front, do you think, right now today? Jerry Jones, I thought, to me, kind of took the high road, kind of extended an olive branch when he made the comments when he was asked about David Mulligetta, said he had no problem working with him, part of the business. Said the right things. He could have gotten a dig in there, but he didn't. He kind of opened the door like, hey, yeah, I'm willing to work with him. I'm willing to get a deal done. Marcus, what do you think? And what are we looking at here?
I mean, I think Jerry's smart. He's got several players on his roster right now that are represented by David Mulligetta. He's got some free agents that probably want to be here that are represented by David Mulligetta. There's no reason to poke the bear any further, right? He also said that George Pickens was ecstatic about the franchise tag. Coach, you and I have been doing this for a while now. Have you ever met a player that was excited about the franchise tag?
No.
Yeah, that's kind of what I feel like as well. Is Pickens just I think Pickens is excited about the potential of playing in Dallas with CeeDee Lamb again in 2026. But do I think he wants to play on the franchise tag? Absolutely not. I think he wants some long-term certainty. We'll see if the Cowboys give him that deal. But we heard Stephen Jones talk at the Combine, and he said they don't feel like there's a timetable or a rush to get this thing done. I think this could be a thing that drags out for a while.
And that plays into the hand of how David Mulligetta, manages his guys. Hey, we'll just take our time here. We'll just sit back and see if they decide to play a card or what card they decide to play. And, I don't think that's always – that doesn't fit in my mind with where the Cowboys need to be going into the 2026 season. They need their guys lined up and ready to go when training camp hits.
Absolutely.
Do you wonder – I mean, I agree with you, obviously. There's been some talk about that he wouldn't be around for off-season workouts and all that kind of stuff. And I get it. That's the play that the agent has to make if the guy's on the franchise tag. But I also don't know how much that really matters, Stretch, because this is a guy that didn't join the team until May last year anyways. He wasn't really around for all the offseason workouts. He showed up in training camp, and he was awesome. They've got a deadline, was it July 15th, to get a deal done? And if they don't get a long-term deal done, he'll sign the franchise tag, and he'll be a free agent again in 2027. I just wonder if this isn't – I wonder if this might just play out that way. Let him play on the franchise tag. He'll be there for training camp. I don't think he's going to make a big fuss about it. Well, that's my personal opinion. I wonder if we're trending in that direction.
If we're trending in a direction of a holdout?
No, not a holdout. Because it doesn't benefit Pickens to hold out at all because he's already got a reputation around the league, right? And if he's holding out, it's not like the Cowboys can trade him after July 15th anyways, right? So he's going to have to play. He likes playing in Dallas. That's why I think Steven and Jerry Jones are very open to the possibility of making him prove it one more year, much like they did to Marcus Lawrence back in 2017, 2018. They made him play on the franchise tag before they gave him a long-term deal. I wouldn't be surprised if that's what they're going to try to do here.
My only concern, though, is that to get to that point, that means that they're not going to be able to agree on a long-term deal before that.
Correct.
And so I just –
what if they're not in a rush, though, Jeff?
I don't think they are, but I'm sure Pickens and his agent would like to get that done. And I think when we see what happens in free agency.
Maybe not. I mean, I think I generally agree with you, right? But if you're Pickens and you're David Mulligetta and you believe this is a situation that sets up well for Pickens to have another 1,400-yard season, and if he's on his best behavior and he shows up on time to meetings and he's not getting fined and he has another big season, he's not going to make $32 million on the open market or from his next team. He might be making $42 million. And we've seen how guys like Dak have leveraged this into, making even bigger contracts. He's only 24 years old. If he can have another season with no antics, I wonder if he could potentially earn $10 to $12 million more per season. And we should mention guys like Puka Nacua and Jackson Smith-Njigba are up for contracts. And I think they're going to reset the market even further. It might not be the worst thing in the world for Pickens to wait this out.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I mean, he's gonna if he trumps the season that he just had and goes out and does it again. You got to consider him a $40 million guy, and so now you think about the numbers. Let's say he signed I don't know. I mean, let's say you could get him for. Do you think right now he'd take a 3-year, $100 million deal?
Yeah, I bet he would.
Yeah. So if you're him and you wait, let's just say you play the best you can this year. You bet on yourself again. You go out. You might get a 3 for $120 deal, 3 for $125.
On top of the $28 million that you earned this year. Yes.
Right. At 25 years old.
Correct.
So you take the 28, the 125, 153 in a 4-year period, that resets a lot of different things. Correct. And so coming out of what he came out of a year ago, which was Pittsburgh, in a place that at the time, didn't have a quarterback that he thought was very good. He hooks up with a quarterback that is pretty good, gets in a position where he's in a good town, good place, good receiver, a really good receiver opposite of him, good tight end, good running game, good quarterback. It's a lot. There's a lot of boxes to check with pluses.
You're really saying that Pennsylvania is better than Texas? Is that what you're saying? No, look, that's fine. Go ahead.
Do you think, let me start here. Do you think Njigba will get a new deal before the season starts?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
so
I bet him and Puka both get new deals.
Right. Okay. So that's going to factor into it, I would think, a little bit. And
then what does that do with Rashid
Shaheed? I mean, yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets, he's a free agent. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets $15 to $20 million a year on the open market.
Not with Seattle. If you're saying that they're going to,
probably not with Seattle.
They're going to play. If they're going to pay JSN that kind of money, I don't see them locking up.
No,
that kind of money in receivers.
Correct.
Sorry to bother you, Jeff.
No, it's good. So my point is that either, like, I see what you're saying, and could he bet on himself and do it again? And so, no problem. I'll do it one more year and then I'll get even more. Could he do that? And could he have that positive attitude? Absolutely. I hope he does. I love to see those stories. But I think the fact that we've heard a couple comments already from his agent and kind of feeling like he already did that. And I kind of get the sense that his agent and his people don't feel like he needs to prove himself again. They want to get paid now. So
yeah, and I think the reasoning behind that is these agents know their clients. They know that George Pickens is uber talented, right? He is just as talented as all of those guys at the top of the market, but he also knows how fickle this can be, right? I don't think his stock is as stable as Jackson Smith-Njigba or Puka Nacua. No. So maybe to them, the risk isn't worth it. So rather than arguing, hey, we want to get paid 35, the Cowboys are only offering 30, let's settle at 32 rather than, completely dragging this out as long as possible. I wouldn't be surprised if we see more urgency from David Mulligetta this time around than we did with Micah, because I think we all knew with Micah, every day that went by, the price was going up, right? Because every team in the world would like Micah Parsons. We just had 10 months ago, every team in the league had a chance to trade a top 100 pick for Pickens, and nobody was interested when he was on a rookie contract. Now he's brought up his value, but again, this is way more finicky than I think some of these other situations.
It's weird. When I hear finicky, I think of cat food. Wasn't there a commercial, Coach, back in the day with some cat food? It's a good word.
I'm not even interested in cats or any cat food. So I'm sorry. So
who final question, then we'll move on to Brandon Aubrey. So who's who's got the ball right now? Whose court is the ball? Is it the Cowboys' move now to make the first offer or to make the first call, or are they, like you said, or do they wait for Mulligeta to call them?
I think it's the Cowboys, right? I think the Cowboys, if they send out that first offer, whether it's 3 years at $105 million or whatever the suggested number is, I wouldn't be surprised if that's ultimately what happens. I think for both sides, they're going to want a shorter term deal, and that's why I am fairly optimistic that it does get done here.
I mean, I think you got to look to see he moved him because of where he was. He was at the top of the priority chain, and he got the franchise tag. He's moved about 5 notches down. Yeah. Now you got the kicker. Now you got some free agent needs on defense that I believe are in front of, from a priority standpoint, in front of George Pickens, because they know he has the franchise tag. So it'll be interesting to see how Steven and Todd Williams start to mess with this cap. I know they've redone 3 guys, I think Dak, CD, and maybe Smith. So who else can get redone? And then from a priority standpoint, where do you place that priority? Is it linebacker? Is it safety? Is it both? Because if it's both, I'd tend to say that the Cowboys are going to expect him to play on that franchise tag, because it's going to be – I mean, do you really think they can create enough salary cap space to say put Pickens in for 3 years at just say around number 100 and sign, just for name's sake, David from Jacksonville and Blankenship?
Sure, you can do it. And Jerry Jones talked about borrowing money for future seasons. I think that's how they get it done.
Okay. As far as the linebackers go, I mean, is it basically, are we looking at either you get Nakobe Dean or you get Devin Lloyd? Is it like one or the other, or do you have you can't, you got to play it out, right?
Some of the numbers that we were hearing just whispered at the NFL Combine for Devin Lloyd would make your jaw drop. He's an awesome player. I don't think the Cowboys are going to entertain that, but I do think somebody like Nakobe Dean, who knows the system well, is one of the top 3 or 4 linebackers available, and I don't think Philadelphia is going to re-sign him. I think of the two, he is far more likely to be an option, and you should check out the 10-minute episode that Landon and I did on Monday, where you'll hear us talk about Nakobe Dean. How's that
nice
for a
plug?
piece?
That was seamless, Marcus. That was outstanding. Vintage right there. All right. So last week, the Brandon Aubrey news broke, and it kind of blew up, and it seemed like maybe they were going to break up or go in a different direction, but it seems like everything kind of calmed down over the weekend, and now it appears that they're hopefully pretty close to a deal. What do you think? They say they want to make him the highest paid kicker in the league. Sounds like they can do that. Will we see that happen?
Sounds like there was a lot of agents yelling at the combine, at reporters about certain numbers. And whenever you get those kind of things, I think you're getting close. He wants to be the highest paid kicker in the league. Jerry said they had an offer out there to make them the highest paid kicker. There's not a lot of wiggle room here, right? Like Harrison Butker is the highest paid kicker in the league at $6.5 million. And I believe it was Todd France, said that, hey, they're not looking to get paid $10 million a year. So whether that's 9.5 or 7, there's not a lot of negotiating to get that down. That's why I think it ultimately does get done.
All right, cool. I hope so. I mean, I know there's talk that kickers can kind of be expendable, and I get that, but the guy's so good, and he's such a weapon to have. I think, with the right situation, you can really use him, and really not only with the field goals, but also with the field position and not getting those 35 touchbacks.
Yeah, and if we start to go to like with the way the UFL is going, where we're giving 4 points for a 60-yard field goal, Brandon Aubrey is going to be the most valuable player in the league. So let's sign me up for that.
All right. When we come back, we're going to talk about the combine a little bit. We got to talk about this surprise surgery for Donovan Ezeraku. What does that really mean? What does that do to the defense that is already trying to get better and try to improve? We'll get into that when we come back. This is the Cowboys Squad Show. I got to talk to you about Indeed and what they've got going on, because workplace chaos, deadlines stacking up, inbox overflowing, and the one position you have to fill is still sitting open. That's not good. When the pressure's on, you need to hire the right person, and this is a job for sponsored jobs. That's right. Indeed, sponsored jobs helps you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for. Skills, experience, location. So you're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles across your post. You're actually doing something about it. And here's a stat that really says it all. In this time, less than a minute that we've been talking, companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed. That according to the Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, you need to spend less time searching and more time interviewing the candidates who check all the boxes, your boxes, with Indeed sponsored jobs. So spend less time searching, more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Less stress, less time, more results. When you need the right person to cut through the chaos, this is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about it on this podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. All right, welcome back to the Cowboys Squad Show. That is Marcus Mosher, co-host of the Daily Locked On Cowboys podcast, along with Landon McCool and former Cowboys coach Glenn Stretch Smith. All right, so we were talking, Marcus, and you and Landon really did, I thought, a good show. But stealing your question, did the combine hurt or help the Cowboys' draft plans? What was your takeaway from that?
Yeah, I think it depends, right? I think it depends on what you want. If you are rooting for someone like Ruben Bain, the Miami guy, a top 5 pick, in my opinion, coach, to fall to the Cowboys at 12, then honestly, this probably was a good combine for you, because he measured in a little shorter than expected. He didn't perform at, any of the drills. He didn't run a 40, and there were a lot of other edge rushers that looked good. So now I wonder if some of these teams like the Commanders and the Bengals and the Chiefs pass on him for more with players with more upside, or if you're looking for a safety, Dylan Thieneman and Emmanuel McNeil-Warren both had fantastic combine performances. And now those guys are firmly in the discussion, not only at 20, but maybe even at 12. So I think overall it was a good combine for Dallas, but we'll have to see how it plays out. I mean, a lot changes from the mocks and everything we had, all the boards last week, to what's going to happen in the next couple of weeks. And I think a good example of that, this Caleb Downs, who got flagged for medical reasons at the combine, who a lot of people think is a top 5 player in this class. Maybe all of a sudden he will be available to you at pick number 12.
I think you're going to see a lot of guys that are right now in staff rooms giving guys battlefield promotions from what come out of that combine. And they're also giving them battlefield demotions from what came out of that combine. Now, we don't necessarily know, but I think there's so much that's still going to be playing out here because of the pro days and because of guys wanting to go. And there were so many guys in my mind who didn't run at the combine who are waiting for the pro day. Let's see how that plays itself out, because I mean these mock drafts I think are gonna drastically change.
Yeah, and they change every year. This is the time of the year. Once we leave Indianapolis, all the teams that are there, we start getting little, nuggets and rumors. You're going to see a lot of the mocks change. Maybe you'll see a guy like Jeremiah Love, who ran a 4.36 40-yard dash start going in the top 5. Maybe you'll see a quarterback like Ty Simpson, who threw the ball well, starting to get more traction to like maybe the Dolphins at pick number 11 or the Rams at 13. I'm with Stretch. You're going to see a lot of changes between now and the next 2 weeks.
Let me ask you something. Do you think Jeremiah Love was joking when they asked him who America's team was?
Well, he said his dad was a Steeler fan, and just living around here, I know how, I'm trying to think of a nice word, dumb Steeler fans are. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe.
I mean, I'm just asking. I mean, was he thinking he was, it was a Saturday evening at the Improv and he was going to audition real quick during the 5:30 drink special?
Unfortunately, you've used that line for me several times, so I don't know if that's a compliment.
No, I use a lot of lines a lot of different times because guess what? If the shoe fits, wear it. If it doesn't, cut your damn toenails and put it on. The point I'm making is was that him being funny, or do you really think,
I think he believes it, which I think he believes it, which means if he truly thinks that Pittsburgh's America's team, gonna have to take him off the board. I can't see any way that you would want to draft Jeremiah Love in the top 255 picks.
Throw him out. Throw him out.
As the Yinzer would say up here, get him out of here.
So back to the getting a starter on day one. I mean, realistically, realistically, can we expect that? Can we expect a couple guys to be, ready to go and jump right in?
Sure. I mean, I think so. I think you might prioritize positions that are a little bit easier to translate to the NFL. I mean, I think, like, for example, linebacker. Linebacker is a spot that historically guys have been able to come in and be productive right away. That's not necessarily true for edge rushers, right? That's usually a position that takes a while. Same for corner. So maybe you try to go out and you get a linebacker and a safety with your top 2 picks because you feel good that they can quickly make that transition to the NFL. And again, just to kind of go back to the beginning of the show, Stretch asked, what are the top 2 positions in terms of depth in this class? Linebacker and safety. Maybe that's where you get the most value.
And if you don't get 2 day one starters, it's a bust. I feel that way.
Well, and that's why we've heard so many people and rumors, suggesting that the Cowboys trade one of those first-round picks for a guy that can play right now, whether that's a Max Crosby or whoever. I understand the idea of, like, you cannot afford to bust with these 2 first-round picks, or you've got no shot in the NFC.
There is zero room for error.
Correct.
Zero room for error.
Yeah, I'm with you.
You mentioned Max. Why do we keep hearing that the Cowboys are like favorites to land him? Like they
have 2 first-round picks and they need a defensive end. That's probably what it is more than anything, right? And let's be honest, Jeff, like, it plays really well into SEO stuff when you put the Cowboys in trade stuff. People like to click on that kind of stuff.
And he's from Colleyville, Texas.
I didn't know that. Yeah.
Colleyville, Texas.
So with that said, clearly the Raiders are not going to get from Max Crosby what the Cowboys got for Micah, right? I mean, they're not going to get 2 first-round picks for him. I mean, it's not going to happen.
No, and Crosby's a really good player, but he's also coming off an injury. He's a lot older than what Micah was, and he's not as special as a pass rusher. So, no, I think ultimately it's going to be a first-round pick and maybe a player.
Okay. Would you have any interest in him at this point, at that price, or no? Is that too high?
I mean, it's mixed, right? Because I think whenever you're paying a guy a lot of money and you're giving up draft capital, that's really hard to do. And I think they've already kind of made that move with Quinnen Williams last year. Right? They got to give Quinnen a big deal either this year or next year. I think I probably would do it for pick 20 because you're in a window. Like, these next 2 years are really all that it matters with Dak Prescott under contract and with the current build of your team. But I think anything more than pick 20, I would have a problem with it.
You think the Raiders would take pick 20 for him?
What if it's 20 and Oso Digizua?
100%. But I'm saying, I don't think I mean, do you really want to give that much?
If you don't think Osa is a great fit in the defense, I do, by the way, and you want to shed some money to take on Crosby's contract, it's not the worst idea, but I'm with you. I think that's a little too much.
That's way too rich for what I think is going to be a rotational 3-down guys with Pickett, Osa, and
Quinn,
yeah, Quentin Williams.
Yeah, I'm with you.
We got to see about Kenny Clark, right?
Yep.
Yeah, who'd I said? Pickett, Clark. Yeah, Clark.
I knew who you meant. Yeah.
You got Kenny Clark, Oso Digizua, and Quentin Williams are the rotational inside guys that I think then you're going to have, again, if you're going to cover the inside guys up like they're talking about doing, you need all three of those guys.
At 5 technique, right? Not 4-eye, right? Stretch. Just joking. Go ahead.
So did you have any idea that Donovan Ezeraku had a hip issue or was going to need surgery? I didn't. I'm being brutally honest. And is there a concern that he'll be okay for?
So I mean, this is news to a lot of people. I think this is a setback for him. It's a labrum in his hip. The expectation is he's going to miss most of the offseason workouts, but he is ready. He is going to be ready for training camp. But now you've got Deron Bland coming off a major injury. You've got Donovan Ezeraku coming off a major injury. You've got Savon Ravel, who tore his ACL in 2024. You got a lot of guys on defense that are banged up. Yep, Overshown coming off a major injury. Just a lot of your top defenders are coming back from major injuries. It's a setback, but I don't think this is going to suddenly make edge rusher a bigger need than it already was, because I think it was one of the biggest needs in the roster.
I mean, the problem with having hip surgery is, I mean, he's a guy that needed to put some weight on, and having that surgery, I mean, how much can you really, I mean, how much lower body work can you really do in order to add some weight?
I mean, I could tell him to add some weight. Just go to that in and out over and over again. That'll help you. That's not a problem.
Yeah, eat those animal fries, and I get it.
Yeah. Good stuff. Better than Whataburger, by the way. That's just my opinion. I remember, though, Bo Jackson, I was at the playoff game at the Coliseum when he was with the Raiders against the Bengals, and he was tackled and injured his hip, and he was never the same guy again. So I don't think it's the exact same injury, but it was a hip injury, and you hope that Donovan's going to be okay and ready to go.
Landon's correcting us in the chat saying animal style, not animal fries.
I think you can use the
slang. Just put a bunch of Thousand Island dressing on some French fries
and melted cheese.
I've never been to either, so I can't really comment. So
we put the grilled onions on also.
There you go.
All right. When we come back, our final segment, Coach, I had a bonus question for you that I was going to throw at you. So we'll do that when we come back. Great to be with you. Even Landon's hanging out with us tonight. It's a beautiful thing. This is the Cowboys Squad Show. All right. Got to talk to you about GameTime. And wouldn't you know it, this thing, when I go back and forth, it gets rid of the ability for me to move this thing up and down. So there's going to be no banner, but it's okay. GameTime, we live in a world where we can stream anything, order food in minutes, and carry supercomputers in our pockets. And somehow buying tickets to a live game still feels complicated. Hidden fees, jumping prices, endless steps. There has to be a better way. Well, that's why you need the GameTime app. It gives fans the advantage and makes getting tickets simple, whether it's NFL games, concerts, comedy, whatever you're into. Now, you jump onto the app, check out the tickets for an upcoming game or event, and literally it will only take you minutes. You can see panoramic views from every seat before you buy. The price you see includes all fees. There's no surprises at checkout. And you can even spot zone deals where you pick the section and GameTime picks the seat for extra savings. So 2 taps, you have great seats locked in, fast, easy, done. So right now, take the guesswork out of buying tickets, download the GameTime app, create an account, use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDON, LOCKEDON, for $20 off. Download GameTime today. All right, we are back. Final segment here on the Cowboys Squad Show. Marcus Mosher and former Cowboys coach Glenn Stretch Smith. So, Coach, I was going to ask you about this. We've been talking a lot about the defense and things that they need to do, but I was curious from a coaching standpoint, when you have a season like the Cowboys where did a lot of great things on offense, but still the team went 7-9-1. You didn't make the playoffs. Again, a lot of good moments. What is the process of improving and building upon that? What's that like during the offseason? When you're done with the season, and the new season is coming up, you like your group, but you want to get better. You want to do even better. What's that whole process like? How do you?
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna go in and you're gonna look at all your cut-ups. All your plays are gonna be divided by the exact same look, same play, same front, all those things that you can sort and look at your plays by. And what you want to do is you want to really get yourself in a position to say, okay, we had opportunity here to make big plays in this situation or in this play or versus this look or versus this coverage. And how are we going to best put ourselves in position next year when we see these coverages, we see these fronts, we see this look? How are we going to attack this in a more efficient fashion? And then those are the things that you prioritize and you work through all through the OTAs and all year. So, for instance, say that they feel like they could have been better running a certain route or had opportunity to take advantage of a certain front. How are we better going to block this front? What techniques or we may tweak or we may change in order to help us get this where it was a 7-yard run, make this a 14-yard run, or make it an 18-yard run, or make it to where he gets one-on-one with a safety right now. So all of those little things and all of those little angles and all of those little tweaks, it's like tuning a car engine. That's what you want to do. You want to take the time from drawing out what you played and what you had during the season, and then giving yourself an opportunity to say, boy, if we had both of our wide receivers, if CD didn't get hurt, can you imagine what we would have gotten on the backside of this where they were playing George over the top? Or can you imagine if CD is getting the bracket here and we call this route versus this coverage? Can you imagine what we can do with that? And so that's what you want to do. You want to take those things and you want to work on those things. And that's exactly what you want to do, challenging your quarterback too, to make sure that, he's better with the tighter window throws or whatever it is that you're looking at. Again, you can break it down with the offensive line and their steps and how their head placement in and how their hand placement are. Break it down with the running backs, how their eyes are, what they do, how they see certain protections. All of those things you want to just tweak and you want to continue to dial in so that when you get that opportunity to see that exact coverage or that exact front or that exact look, where you were able to get a 30-yard gain, maybe you're able to gash it for a touchdown.
And this is where I think you'll see the analytics department that the Cowboys have spent a ton of money on over the last 5 years, working with some of these coaches and players and saying, hey, when we get against this style of defense, these are the 5 or 6 route combinations that are the most effective or give you the most EPA per player, however they want to word it. And on defense, hey, this is the best way to attack, mobile quarterback or however. I think you're going to see the Cowboys using more of the analytics and hopefully coaching up the coaches so they can do a better job here in year 2.
All right. That's good stuff. So, I mean, I would think, and I'll ask Coach this when he comes back, that, right, I mean, you have different goals and different things that you want to improve upon, maybe a different message for Dak and the offense, kind of something to try to build upon and to focus on, right?
Yeah, and I think for the Cowboys, it's really as simple as they've got to fix the offensive line. They've got the talent. They've used the resources on this unit. They're going to bring back TJ Bass as a high-end backup. You've got Tyler Booker in year 2. Tyler Smith had knee surgery, but he's expected to be healthier. You've got to figure out a way for all of these investments on the offensive line to really start paying dividends, right? Whether that's running the ball more, physically, whether it's being better in short yardage. They were not very good in the red zone last year, despite being one of the better offenses in the league. And I wouldn't be surprised if you see the coaching staff really challenge this offensive line to kind of take the next step, because if they want to be a contender in the NFC, that's the unit that needs to improve the most outside of the defense.
Yeah, well said. Great point. All right, Marcus, before we wrap things up, what do you and Landon have coming up the rest of this week on the daily Locked On Cowboys podcast?
Yeah, we've got some combine rumors and buzz that we're going to be talking about on Tuesday's show, including a safety that could be falling down the board and a round 1 cornerback the Cowboys don't appear to be interested in. So make sure you guys listen to that. We're also going to have free agent previews for you to ready to go, because free agency starts next Monday. And we're going to be continuing to preview the top linebackers in the 2026 NFL draft, including Jacob Rodriguez, Anthony Hill, and CJ Allen. So a busy week of shows. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the Locked On Cowboys podcast, wherever you get your podcasts.
Beautiful. Well said. That was very nice. And we've talked about this before, Marcus, right? But again, not being Captain Obvious, but obviously the Cowboys front office and the staff, they know privately amongst themselves who they want to go after, who they want to target, and who they hope to be able to get a deal done with quickly right away, so they're not kind of caught in limbo and then musical chairs, then the music stops and everybody's signed everywhere else.
Yeah, I mean, they kind of know. And this is one of the things we don't talk about enough in free agency. A lot of the deals get done at the combine now. You can't talk to teams. You can't talk to players. You can't talk to agents. But what do you think happens at St. Elmo's in Indianapolis during the week? Like, they kind of have an idea, like, what the market is. And they kind of have an idea, like, hey, these are the 2 or 3 guys we're going to call the minute it hits 12 Eastern on Monday afternoon. So they know they're not going to be surprised by anything. They've got a to-do list of guys that they're going to restructure and talk to about their contracts. Nothing is going to surprise them here over the next week and a half.
And also, it's worth a reminder that, I mean, agents, they also have an idea of where their players would fit, where the best situation for them would be, and where they'd like them to be.
Yeah, and they know. Yeah, and they roughly know the amount of money. Now, I mean, it takes like Nakobe Dean's agent. He probably knows that he's going to get somewhere between 10 and 12 million per season. But maybe on Monday, a team desperately needs a linebacker and they offer $2 million more per season. Like, that kind of stuff does happen, but it's not this wild range of a guy think he's going to make 20 million and then all of a sudden he only gets 4 in free agency. Like, these agents they get paid a lot of money for good reason.
All right. So there's still work to be done, right? As far as they cleared a big chunk of cap space, but there's still some more that they'll attempt to do before free agency.
Yeah. So CeeDee Lamb, Dak Prescott, Tyler Smith, it sounds like all of those contracts will be restructured. The Cowboys also have the option of restructuring that guys like Quinnen Williams. We'll see about that, but it sounds like the first priority is address the Kenny Clark contract, whether that's an extension or a restructure. Talk to Terrence Steele about maybe moving some money around to free up some space. There's a couple other guys, including like Jake Ferguson, that you could move some money around, but I fully expect the Cowboys to have somewhere between $30 and $40 million of cap space before we get to next Monday. So expect a lot of moves to happen between now and then.
All right. Well, look forward to that. That's going to be awesome. But in the meantime, we got a busy week coming up again. Be sure and check out Marcus and Landon on the daily Locked On Cowboys podcast. Coach Stretch Smith, we'll get him back on Thursday. We'll be back with you. Landon will be with us as well. I Aisha Morrison will be back with us next week. But until then, good way to start off the week. There he is. Coach, thank you. We appreciate you. Appreciate your insight.
Man, thank you so much. I had to step away, but I know you guys could handle it and did a great job doing so.
All right. Well, have a good week. We'll talk to you on Thursday. Marcus will check you and Landon out. And again, thanks to everybody watching and listening later on. This has been the Cowboys Squad Show.